All right, Diary of a Dom, episode 3. So much has happened. We've got 2 new subs in play and 2 failed subs. So I recorded something else. I'm going to tag it on to the end because I want to get into the good stuff first. But I just want to take you along the entire journey because the ending part of this I filmed earlier. And it's like a frustrating thing that happened that I felt kind of like vulnerable about. So watch that later. But the good stuff. So I've got 2 subs. Well, 1.5 subs. Sub number three, and then I just got done with a meeting with potential sub number 4. So, sub number 3, found him on Grinder. He like saw my Instagram. We were talking on Grinder at like 10 p.m. on like a Tuesday, and it was just like normal conversations. And then he was like, "Oh, I saw your Instagram account," and then he was like, "Sir, I would love to have your piss," and like, "Sir, all these things," and he was displaying like pup qualities, and he'd be sending pictures of his like pup gear, and like it seemed very like kink and sexual based. It didn't seem like service like slave based. And so I was having and if I get around to making a Twitter account to like screenshot these conversations, I will, and you can see more of it. But I was like, I don't want to say educating, but I was like just like slowing things down with him over the Grinder conversation, because I was like, I'm not sure that this is a match, because everything that he was saying was just like, you get a lot of it where it's like, yes sir, like, yes sir, eager sub sir, and it was just like, I don't know. I'm like, I don't know if you're really a match for what I'm looking for. And it's like, I'm getting more like kink, playful, sexy, like sexual vibes from this, and not like deep service oriented vibes. And I was like, no shade, no tea. Like, that's totally valid. It's just different than what I'm looking for. And then he came back with, I do get really excited. I do think that there's something here. Would you be open to like, and he just like kept with it, and his tone shifted. Like, it started off like very excited, then it like came back a little bit, and I was like, okay, cool. This is, maybe there's something here. And then I was like, cool, well, why don't we meet? I was like, how are you with pain? And I want like things done around the house, like service oriented stuff. And he was like, yes, I'm totally open to it. So I was like, why don't we meet? And then I was like, actually, 9 a.m. tomorrow morning, why don't we meet at Union Station and we'll get coffee together? And so we did. We got coffee, and he's a cool guy. He's like 6'3". He's taller than me. We get coffee, and I can like sense he's like nervous, which rightfully so. And going into this is I guess the first time that I had a conversation with a sub like out of the dynamic. This is the first like conversation ahead of time, and so it was new for me too, and it was clearly new for him, or it seemed to be new for him. And there's just a little bit of like, I really want this to be like not performative, and I really want this whole series to be like really pulling back the curtain and sharing what it's like, because like a lot of what I'm experiencing, and I'll talk about this with like the guy that I just met, is a little bit of insecurity as the dom, like feeling like I should like be like all figured out and all dommed up in these conversations, because it's like in the moment and in the energy and in the dynamic, it's like it's boom shakalaka, it's there. But like the piecing it together in the conversations beforehand and everything like that, it's a little bit different. And so I met him, we had coffee. We, just normal small talk, like blah, 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 where do you live, get the coffee. And it was nice to have that, like, activity of, like, okay, there's, like, there's, you order coffee and you make your order and then you pay and then you wait. And there was just a little bit of a trajectory to, like, follow that gave us both an opportunity to just kind of, like, settle into each other's company. And then we found a spot to sit down, and we had more conversation. And I wish I fucking recorded more of this, but I asked him like what I told him what was important to me. And what was important to me is like punctuality and like reliability and service. Like I told him about the sub before where like it just didn't work because he couldn't follow through, and that was like frustrating. And so I was like, I need you to be there. And he has a job that he travels a lot with, but he gets his schedule ahead of time, and he was able to confirm that he can like block off time. And like he was at the train station like a half hour early, so he's like very punctual, very on time, which was green flags all around for me. And yeah, I mean, it really was like I couldn't. I mean, there was a little bit more conversation, but it was more of like a an energetic primer. It was more of like, let's like acclimate to each other's energy. Let's like, you know, like build a little bit of a trust, a little bit of rapport before diving in. I did do, and this is something I learned from Court Box in like a Domcraft training, where when he was messaging me on Grinder, he was like, sir, 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 and like using sir. And one thing that Court I learned, like this like trick or whatever, is like, I haven't given you permission to call me sir yet. Like that's an honorific, and it's a privilege to use that. And so if you're going to use that, you need my permission. And that's like a fun way to be like, oh, gotcha, you didn't like taking control and having the power and demonstrating the authority before. I don't know, that's a little trick that I learned. And it's like kind of nice. It's kind of nice. So there was that, and then we had the conversation. He's really into piss. Like he was really into piss play. And so he's totally like, he says, I'm a people pleaser. Like I want my man to be happy in the relationship. He finds himself wanting the other person to be happy. And like, this isn't like a dating relationship, but that tracks with like wanting to take care of stuff and do stuff here. And then things were getting like, the conversation was like coming to a close. We probably talked for like 10 minutes tops. And there was a little bit of like, you know, it branched off into small talk and just like getting to know each other. And then I brought it back and I was like, what time do you have to go? Because he was getting on a work trip. And he was like, whatever, 1 p.m. And it was like fucking 9:30 in the morning. So I was like, great, do you want to come up for a little bit? And I felt like in my body, like from a somatic aspect, when we like actually settled in and started having these conversations of what's important to us, and like him like really clicking in energetically, I had the sacral turn on. Like I had the ignition in my sacral center and like the arousal that comes alive in this dynamic for me. And that's really like a big guiding force for me, is my sacral center in human design. I'm a sacral generator. My brand is Sacral Steve. Like it's all about my sacral center. And so that's a compass for me. And just to shed light, that's like the somatic perspective that gave me a little bit of that confirmation that this was a match. And so I was like, do you want to come up for a little bit? Because we're just right across the street from my place. And he was like, yes. And this is like, I felt it like ignite. So we walked, and then I went over just like the communication cues that I use in session. I can't remember if I've shared these before, but I use like pause. You can press pause at any point, at any time. Pause is the dynamic. And from pause, you can press play. From pause, we can stay paused, but pause is like just pressing pause. I need to share something. I need to do something, like something went too far. Pause is pause, right? And the other communication cue that I use is 8. 8 is, if you think of an intensity scale from 0 to 10, 10 is pause. 10 is like, this is too much. 8 is 2 clicks before that. So 8 is like, I can handle this, but I can't handle much more than this. And it's a more specific cue to be like, okay, I don't want to go much further. And I shared those with him. And then I also shared, sir, may I have a word? This is another one I learned from Court Vox. Sir, may I have a word is like, we don't need to stop the dynamic, but like as things deepen and you need to tell me something, like that gives you a permission to ask me to let me know something, where it's like, oh, I actually really have to piss right now. Or, sir, may I have a word? My foot's cramping. And I can either be like, sorry, take it. Or like, okay, that's not what I'm trying to do for you right now. Let me shift gears for you. So, sir, may I have a word is like, I need to let you know something. We don't need to break the dynamic, but there's something that feels important for me to share for whatever reason. I share all those with him on the way up to my apartment. We get in, and as soon as we get in the door, he like gets on all fours, because he's a total pup. He gets on all fours, and like it doesn't do much for me. But I'm like, that's fine. If that's fun for you, go for it. And so he's like gets on all fours, and then this interesting thing takes place where it felt instinctual to me. It felt like, okay, let me like claim you, let me own you, let me like really assert and like initiate this dynamic. And again, I've learned so much from Court Vox, but like I learned ritual. Ritual is like an erotic element, like a core erotic element. And there's lots of different ones to play with, but ritual, think of it as like a deepening, like an opening or a closing to a scene, like an opening ritual to like really like turn things on, ignite the dynamic. And a lot of times like collars are very like big in the BDSM community. Collars don't necessarily do much for me right now. That might change. In Pilion, if you saw Pilion, like I made, like I look, it's like fashion to me. It's like fashion to me. It's like drag. It doesn't do like, it doesn't have like a deep symbolic meaning to me, but it does to a lot of people. And the reason that I mention this is because collaring rituals are big in the community. Like wearing a collar and like having it put on and having it taken off is often a form of ritual that's used to open or deepen into a scene or end a scene. And here I'm speaking to scenes, but this is more of a long-term dynamic. But anyways, like a ritual came to life. A ritual came to life. And this wasn't like a planned thing where I was like, okay, I need to have a ritual now. It was a very instinctual thing where it was like, I'm gonna claim my property now. I'm gonna take this. I'm going to have this. This now belongs to me, and I'm going to like, and again, I've mentioned that like I'm like this like primal like dog, like love biting an ear, like that kind of like put them down kind of thing. And so I just like started like grabbing him and started like biting his neck a little bit and like really just like manhandling him and like getting my hands on him. And I got him clothes off. And it was like sniffing around, like, and people talk about this like inspection thing. The first sub that I had come in as a client, it was like the first time that somebody reached out to me, and like there was that deep fucking like soul level connection. This sub was like talking about like coming in for inspection. And so inspection is like, and I mentioned in the last video, like the poses, like the like different poses, like there are some that are like ready for inspection poses. So like, it's interesting that like these things are alive. Like they're not necessarily like archetypes, but these like parallels and these patterns are like things, and I'm finding myself instinctually doing things that resemble them. It's like really cool to me. It's exciting. And so I just found myself like just like sniffing around him, right? And like getting him naked and inspecting him and like really like getting all over him because I'm taking stock. I'm like, what do we have here? And so we get him naked. I get him naked. We, the royal we, I get him naked. And, or maybe just with his underwear on, and I get him into my bed, and that's where I start going to town on his flesh. You know that I love biting and sucking on flesh, and if you watch my Instagram stories, I posted a couple pictures, but I just like, maybe I'll make the fucking Twitter account today. But I just started like really like biting him and sucking, and he didn't call A. Like I don't think I've had like one or two people, but like the level of intensity, like it was deeply satisfying because I didn't have to hold back, and he was really willing to receive it. And his skin, he's very fair skinned, so like the aesthetic of what it looked like afterward with the blood pulled to the surface and like the teeth imprints was just deeply satisfying to me. And so there was just this natural like, it was a ritual. It was this like claiming like my prey and my property through sucking and biting his flesh, like type of initiation that was taking place, where that was what claimed and owned and initiated this dynamic formally for me, or like not formally, but like officially. And so I did that, and then after that, like played with him a little bit, and then I was like, okay, I brought him into the kitchen. I was like, you're gonna clean this up. This goes here. You're gonna do this. This goes here. It's pretty self-explanatory. It's a kitchen. Clean it up. Put the shit away, and then come find me. And he did. And I just laid in my bed. I was working on some like Reiki classes, and it was fucking nice to like I don't know, it was just nice. And so he did all that. Then he came back in, he kneeled on the ground. He said, I'm done, sir. And I was like, all right, come up here. And I like held him. And this was like really fucking satisfying. Like this, not only like body, like fucking cuddling. It was like, who doesn't love cuddling? And so he like laid on me. I like pet him a little bit. I'm super hard, like his cock's like his face is like near my cock, and it's just like this deep turn on. And then I may have like laid him on the ground a little bit, bit him some more, sucked on him some more, and then I was like, how much time do you have? He let me know, and I was like, great, you're gonna clean the bathroom now. Clean the bathroom. And then when he went to clean the bathroom, I went in the kitchen, and I love my fucking orchids. I have 9 orchids right now. They're a passion project of mine, and I love getting orchids to rebloom. And one of my orchids is reblooming because I'm really good at my orchids, but it's like a very delicate thing. And this was the orchid. And I come in the kitchen, and he had put a plant stake in it and like lifted my fucking precious orchid into like as if there was something wrong with it, and it needed to be changed. And it like he put a fucking stake in, like, fucked with my orchids. I was so pissed. And this wasn't a game anymore. This was just like, how fucking dare you? Like, I get like, oh, let me think ahead, and like I like that mindset of like, what else can I do here? But like, don't touch my fucking orchids. And I was pissed. I was fucking pissed. And I was like, get in here. And he came in here, and I was like, what is this? And this was, you know, they talk about like therapeutic nature of kink, and like in the world of BDSM, it gives you a place to be and feel and express anger and like inflicting pain in places where that's not allowed other places. So like, rather than being like, oh, please don't do this again, I get to be like, what the fuck was this? Get on your fucking knees. I'm gonna spank the shit out of you. And then I did, and it was great. And I was pissed, and I was still pissed. And I should have done more. But it was like the first day. Go easy on him. So, and then he cleaned my bathroom, and then we cuddled a little bit more, and then he had to get going, and then he left. And I told him to send me his calendar, send me his days off. I want to know when you have available. I want to plan ahead. I want to get you here. And so he did that. And then he also texted me the next day, and he said, it was such a turn on. He said something like, thank you so much. I hope this isn't sharing so much. But this was like a couple days later. He was like, I hope this isn't sharing too much, but serving you and our time together, I felt so much less anxious the past couple days and so much more at ease. I feel so comfortable, like, knowing my place, like, serving you. And that was such a fucking turn on to me, to hear him, like, the note about, like, being in my place, like, serving you, like, that was, like, cute, whatever, like, fine, like, that's great to hear. But, like, to me, there was this massive turn on for the benefit that he received from it. And to hear that, I don't know, it was just really interesting. And like, I was aroused, that message, like, I got fucking hard reading that message, because I was like, just the potency of it, I think is the real arousal there. So that is sub number 3, and he's coming back on Sunday. And I'm looking forward to having him here regularly. And I also, like, he's gonna bring like his pup gear and like his harness, and he wants to like show me his toys, and I'm like, that's cute, bring your toys, like, let me see, like, maybe I'll like them, maybe I won't. Some of that stuff just feels like drag to me, but like, we'll see. But like, I think it would be hot to like take him on a walk to the park in front of other people. I think that sounds like ballsy to me. And if you know me, I like did like a whole journey with like OnlyFans and piss play and stuff like that. And it reminds me of like when I would go to Walmart and like piss my jeans in Walmart and like walk around with like piss stains on my pants. It's like an arousal in a different kind of way, where it's not like necessarily like a sexual arousal, but it's like a audacity arousal. It's like, how far can I take this? How bold can I be here? How much of like ownership of my space, not giving a fuck what anybody else thinks, can I lean into? So that's something I'm curious about exploring with sub number 3. Now, sub number 4, this is already 20 minutes, and I'm gonna edit on the other video, so I might save that for the next video, just to keep these like casually concise. But I just got done meeting sub number 4, and it was incredibly wild conversation. I guess I can get into it right now. One of the most interesting people I've ever met. I'm gonna cliffhanger it. One of the most interesting people. He has a lot of experience. He's been like a houseboy. He's been like in a cage like for multiple years in this home, like in a cage, diapered, like paws taped up, mouth gagged, like literally being in a house and in a cage sleeping at night for 4+ years. So he's got a lot of experience here, and so we had a conversation today. But I think I'll talk more about it next time. He's probably going to be here next week for his first time here, and then he wants like overnight time already. So that feels very new to me. So I'll keep you posted. Also, I forgot to mention, I think I ended the last one talking about how I was going to meet a sub in Boulder, and he was open to videos and photos being taken of him, and it was like really felt like a good vibe, and I was going to meet him in Boulder. That bitch fucking ghosted me. Fucking ghosted me. Literally came to the day of to meet him in fucking Boulder and just fucking stopped responding. Which was absolute garbage. Fucking stupid. So that didn't happen. On top of the failed fucking guy that's going to be posted next. I was like 2 in a row. It was like super frustrating. But I've got 2 new ones going, so whatever.
All right, y'all. Diary of a Dom, episode 3. So, a few different things. One, I'm meeting with a new sub tomorrow, and I will probably just talk about that after I talk about this. But while it's fresh in my mind, I was talking to this guy on Recon. He pissed me off. He comes in hot. He's like a super attractive guy from a different state. He messages me like, "Hey, sir, like your profile would love to submit to a sub to a dom like you. How best can I serve you?" kind of thing. Are you looking for short term or long term? So he came in with like all of this like, I'm here to sub, and his profile, I read it, and he was like very much total masochist, right? He's looking for like pain play without limits, and like beyond just sexual, it's like deep masochism, and that's something like I would love to explore. And so I respond, and I was like, I don't love that you're far, because he's in a different state, because I'm looking for somebody who's here and who can like be here regularly. And something else, and he's like, that's not a problem, I can easily fix that. And he's like coming forward with this energy, and it's like a deep fucking response in my body. Like I talked about in the last video, one of the last videos, how I've like felt that like soul level, like deep fucking connection. That's what I felt here. And so like I get excited, right? I get excited because like, wow, there's like a lot of potential and possibility here. And he's coming like, how can I best serve you? And I responded to like his response times are like a day apart. And so my first thing is like, your response times are too long. You need to be bidding for my attention more frequently. Because that's what I like. This other sub that I'm meeting on Sunday, which is tomorrow, we'll probably talk about after this, he like messages like 3 or 4 times a day. Like I'm pretty sure you can see my read receipts, but I like when the sub comes forward and bids for my attention, like keeps coming forward with this like desire to connect and receive from me. I like that eagerness. I like that, like it's a sense of devotion to me. And it's also like, yeah, it's like not playing into any of the, oh, did he read my message or not? Or like not gonna double text. Like, no, it's like this, like I'm coming forward. And so I send that message like, you need to be like bidding for my attention more. It's been far too long since your last message. And I'm just going with it because he's coming in with like this deep, like, all right, we're in the dynamic. And I'm like, all right, cool, that's what you're gonna get from me. And then he responded with something like, respectfully, sir, like I need to like, I don't just, like before I'm gonna beg for your attention, like I need to know more, like have something beforehand. And I'm like, then why the fuck are you asking me, how can I best serve you? If you have needs that you need to share with me before deepening into the dynamic, say them to me, let me know. Because I'm gonna go hard and fast in if you're going hard and fast in. And then he like backs up a little bit and was like, respectfully, like I need like to know like some more things first before I like beg for your attention. And I'm like, okay, cool. So I shift gears and I'm like, well, why don't we drop the dynamic? Here's my number. Why don't we get on a FaceTime? Like, it sounds like you need to have more of a conversation with me. Cool. Okay, fine. And then he's like, no need to drop the dynamic, sir. Total sub here. Looking for somebody who can like do pain without limits and isn't gonna be afraid of that. And I deleted the messages. Because I don't like having it there to like go back and overanalyze. And I just like to like throw away the energy and not let it like live in my technology. But so I won't be able to like quote this exactly, but he said, it was just like, it was annoying to me. It was super annoying to me. And he was basically wanting, he had like these like rules. He had these like requirements that he didn't bring forward and then brought forward later. And then I back up because I'm like, okay, it sounds like you need something different. And then he was like, well, it's all about the energy for me. Like, it's all about the energy and the attitude for me. And like, and I'm like, well, you fuck, like, this is dumb. This is dumb. This is dumb. And so whatever. I was like, there's something here. There's something here. And I mentioned something like, he's like, I need to know that you've got experience with like this level of stuff. And I'm like, straight up, I don't. But there's like a deep, because he's wanting something specific, and he's wanting to know, he's like wanting confirmation that he's going to be able to get the specific thing that he's looking for before diving in. And I don't know how I feel about that, because there's a certain level of risk involved. There's a certain level of like, you are claiming to be a sub, you're so submissive, right? But like these requirements that you have of like needing, like you're wanting something specific. And this is where like I can talk a little bit about client work, where there are some people that reach out to me and see my ad online, and I use this analogy like private chef versus chef's restaurant, right? Where I'm a chef's restaurant. People come in, clients come in to see me, and you receive what the chef is serving. I serve my meal. You come in to receive what I'm cooking for you. You either like it or you don't. It's either a match for you or it's not. So I'm like the chef's restaurant. There are other people in this industry who are like a private chef, where you hire them and they'll make whatever meal you want them to make. And that's fine. It's just a different thing. So online, I'll have people reach out and they're like wanting a specific scene. They want spanking, they want this, they want this. And it's like, is that really submission? Or is that just fulfilling a kink? Because you're getting what you want. You're ordering a specific thing that you want. And that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. That's just outside of this whole, like, you're coming in to submit to what the Dom's giving you. And yes, like, flavor profiles have to overlap to some extent, but like, this is my flavor profile, make it for me. This is the meal that I want, make it for me. And so back to this guy, and so like, I don't see those clients. They're not for me. I'm like, go find somebody else. I'm just not your guy. You come in to receive what I cook, what I'm serving, and it's a very specific meal. And so this guy, like, this kind of theme is coming up for me, where he's like wanting to ensure that he's gonna get a specific meal, which is this like limit-free pain play, and he's wanting like this specific energy throughout it. And I get that chemistry has to be there and like the energy has to spark and be alive, but like the mechanism by him going about it is like, oh, like, I'm here, I'm gonna submit, like I want this so bad, and like anything you want. And then I fucking tell him, and then it's like, well, actually, and I'm like, okay, why don't we just not dive in so deep if like you're gonna go in deep and then back out? And what bugs me is like, I'm a total shapeshifter where like I'll be on client calls, like pre-session consults, and like who I am, like who I show up here is very different than me in session. Like I shapeshift into a different version of myself. And the same comes alive with these higher intensity BDSM sessions, where like it's a different version of me. And I know like it's just interesting because there's different aspects of this, because last video I was talking about, or 2 videos ago I was talking about like the high sensation of like receiving service. And I think that's different than like that whole thing, and leaning into that and being okay with that is a different thing for me than pain. Because I've had, I don't want to talk too much about clients because I don't have permission to, but I've had the sadism, the inflicting pain, like that's a part of me that like blooms really naturally. And it looks, it's just, I shapeshift into it. It's not this persona that I live in. It's like a different part of me that comes out. And so like this guy, I'm just a little frustrated because I'm like, you're missing out here. You're missing out here because you're wanting confirmation of these specific things to be able to make it okay for you and guarantee that you're gonna get the meal that you want. Because you haven't been in person with me, you haven't given this like there hasn't been an opportunity for this to bloom. And like doing it virtually, like I tried to be there with you out the gate, and then you were like, whoa, I need other things first. So I'm just like, I left it as like, you've got my number, text me if you want to continue this. Because like I could get like, I don't know, right? The whole like limit-free pain play, that deeply excites me. And like I said, there was like such a deep sacral response in our initial messages where like, this feels like big. This feels like those like deeper soul level connections that I felt a couple times with clients. And so I'm just frustrated because, like, one, there's a part of me that's like, because he's got way more experience, right? He's got way more experience, but there's a part of me that's like wanting to prove myself in a way, or feeling like I'm not like properly being seen, and there's like this like perceived judgment of like I want to be a good dom and like, but he's not seeing it, but like that kind of thing, if that makes any sense. And then the other part of it is just this frustration where it's like I really feel like the puzzle pieces would fit beautifully together here. But like we're fumbling out the gate. And so maybe this just comes with like time and experience in all of this. We'll see. But yeah, limit free pain play. Like that I would be I'm curious. Like I would love to explore that with somebody to see like how far I can go. Because there is a deep sadist within me and I love inflicting pain, and there is typically like a bound, right? There's typically like a limit to what people are willing to endure, and so like I've only been able to play up to other people's limits. I want the opportunity to see where my limits are.